Today, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about Season 15 Gangplank. Runes, items, builds, guide, combo, everything you need to know about Gangplank, we're going to go over today. Before we get into that, quick word from our sponsor, Factor. So I have something to tell you guys. If you want to 1v1 me and win $100 of RP, all you got to do is use Factor and show me proof. Exclamation point Factor in my Twitch stream, but it'll also be in the comment section down below and in the description. It's a meal prep service that is approved by chefs, never frozen, and with my code you get 50% off. I'm going to say it how it is. It's pretty clear, and like I said, you want to win $100 in RP and 1v1 me, just show me proof. We'll do it right then and there, the same exact day. On stream or off stream, up to you. On stream is just more like interesting. You got like a permanent VOD if you beat my ass in like a Yumi 1v1, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, with that being said, let's get into it. All right, so you got your normal first Gangplank combo, one barrel down, second barrel down, auto attack it, pretty easy. You can also blow up your barrel with your Q, not too difficult. This next combo that I'm going to show you guys is what you see me do all the time, what you see a lot of good GP players do, and what you're probably trying to learn. This is called the one-part barrel, the phantom barrel. The EQE is how many Koreans call this combo. So here's how you get it done. You place the first barrel down, and it has to be outside of your Q range. Outside, not inside. If you place it inside your Q range, here's what happens. You'll fail. You can't combo. You can't combo at all. So remember, don't place the barrel inside of your Q range. Here's how you get it done. Now that it's outside of your Q range, you're going to walk up and you're going to place the second barrel while the first one's exploding. So again, to be able to do this combo, it has to be outside of your Q range. Your max Q range is a better way to say it. Your max Q range, your first barrel is at your max Q range, and then you can place the second barrel. Boom. You can use this combo to get useful damage off. So for example, let's imagine an opponent is 1v1ing you like an Aurelia, and your barrel is too far outside of your range, and the Aurelia is now on top of you. You can Q this barrel backwards, and get what's called a double passive reset. A double passive reset is exactly what it sounds. So when you blow up a barrel as Gangplank, your passive goes from whatever cooldown it's on to being up. This allows you to do true damage to the opponent, and if you auto-attack the opponent while two barrels are blowing up, you'll actually get two passives on this opponent as well. So 1, 2. Did you catch that? Now, passive damage stacks. It doesn't refresh, it stacks. Some people think that, well, if you auto-attack too early, then your passive won't do double damage. It'll do like, I don't know, it'll just refresh itself and do 1.5 times the damage. That's wrong. Your passive does stack. So now that we've got that established, we know how to do the hardest combo in Gangplank. Let's go over the last combo here. This is the triple barrel combo. So you place two barrels down, and as you Q the first barrel, you place a third barrel down. So it's done like this. We're going to Q this barrel and place a third barrel down. This is a really good combo for extending your barrel range when opponents aren't looking, and for also doing it over walls. So let's imagine an opponent is contesting the mid wave, right? This is quite often where the opponent is on this mid wave here, and maybe you're not able to reach them with this barrel right here. Well, in this case you can. Honestly, in this case you can. But let's pretend they're farming from a safer location, like right here. What you can do is place two barrels, and then place the third one on top of them. All the while, you're in fog of war until the very last moment. So 1, 2, 3, just like that. And you're able to reach opponents. You could also do this combo inside of the river to clear the entire river. So watch this. This barrel already covers the entire river, but then you can extend it. Boom, just like that. You can also do this over Dragon Pit to really catch opponents off guard. So watch this. Let's imagine they're doing the dragon. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. You can also do this over Baron Pit. 1, 2. Oh, I mean, okay, man. The wall just got thicker. What do you want me to do? But 1, 2, and 3. If the wall wasn't as thick as it was right now, I would have been able to reach the center. But Baron just hates my videos, so it is what it is. Alright, so now that we've gone over the one part Phantom Barrel EQE, we've gone over double barrel combo, we went over double passive resets, we went over the triple barrel combo, let's let's go over stuff you'll never do in a game. So, do you remember what I told you about one part being at your max Q range and how this isn't possible, right? Well, if you flash, you can make up the distance of the missing range here. So you know how I can't do this? If I flash far away, now all of a sudden, the barrel's in my Q range. So you can combine this. Let's imagine you're in a scenario where you're running away and you want to sell on the opponent. Watch this. Oh, don't watch that. You can Q, flash, and then combo. Just like that. It's a pretty difficult combo to do on Gangplank, and it's not optimal. It's not like you're going to want to do this. Like, this isn't that ideal, but it's something that you can do to style on. Even for me, it's still hard. Like, as you can see, I've messed it up like 3 times in a row. Oh my god, I'm washed up. I am playing on 85 ping. That's also true. I am playing literally on 80 ping. And you might be saying, why are you playing on 80 ping? That's because I'm currently climbing to EUS Challenger. We are currently EUS Grandmaster playing only Gangplank on 85 ping. So again, twitch.tv/Solarbacca if you want to see that, but yeah. That is how you do the combo. There we go. Another thing you could do is you can combine your flash to get more range on a triple barrel combo. So right now, if I try to triple barrel, this is my max range. So watch this. That's my max range. That's not a lot, right? But combine this with a flash. This Solarbacca guy's washed up. But combine this with a flash, and all of a sudden, you can get even further beyond your normal range. So this is my max range, but then I flash, I've got even more range now. Now, this is really nice, especially for Baron, because sometimes you want to be able to reach this range over here, over the Baron pit, and if you flash over, it'll allow you to do that. So it makes for really good montage highlights. Yeah, montage highlights, you know, the whole TikTok thing. If that's what you're looking for, that's what you got to do. So with every single barrel combo being explained and where you could do some of these combos, especially that triple barrel combo. Oh, one more thing I want to show you guys, actually. If you're trying to do the one part combo, watch this. Boom, boom. From a bush all the way to the middle of the minion wave. This is usually where the minions meet, is right here. So you can easily just catch opponents off guard, and they won't see it until it's too late. So with everything done there, let's get into runes, and then we'll get into builds, and then I'm going to show you guys a cheat sheet. And I think you guys are going to love it very much, because this cheat sheet you can just look at, and boom, be done. So with that being said, let's get into the first things first. Let's get into, yeah, let's show you guys a cheat sheet, actually. That's what I want to do first. Okay, right here. Guys, take a screenshot of this. Oh, you know what? I'll post a picture in the comments so you guys can also save it for yourself. Excuse me. So, yeah, you guys can take a picture of this. I'll post it in the comments. This shows you what runes to go into every single top lane and mid lane matchup in the game. So with that being said, let's get into it. Your first setup is Mana Crystal Start plus Comet. Your second setup is D-Blade plus Comet. Your next one is D-Shield plus Comet and second wind. And then finally, Longsword and Comet. So let's get into the runes and what this actually means. All right, so let me make sure you guys can see my screen. Yep, we're good. Let's go into it. Comet and Crystal. There are 2 different setups you can go if you're playing Mana Crystal and Comet. The first one is your scaling setup. So you go Arcane Comet, you go Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, Gathering Storm, Cut Down, and Legend Haste. Now let me explain one thing. I just remembered that most of you guys who are watching this video play Grasp, Gangplank, or First Strike. So let's go over why those are wrong. So First Strike is wrong because it does no damage and it doesn't help you in the lane. So you might say, but I get free gold, I can take cash back. The reason why these runes are irrelevant is because they require nothing to happen in the laning phase for them to be remotely good. In other words, you're at the mercy of your opponent. Even if you're against the tank, you could still take advantage of them and have really good scaling runes in the form of Absolute Focus, Gathering Storm, and Mana Flow Ban. But let's imagine that you play against Ornn and you take First Strike. You're done. You're cooked. Unless you're literally playing against the worst Ornn the universe has ever seen, you will not get a lead. So everything I'm going to show you guys is how you can get a lead and how you can have the strongest mid game possible. First Strike is weak because you have 0 laning phase runes. Cashback, stinky. Magical Footwear, stinky. Like, none of that helps you in the lane. First Strike does no damage. Now, if these runes still work for you, then go for it. But I'm going to teach you guys how to take a setup that can help you carry the game. So, Comet and Crystal. Why are we going Sapphire Crystal on Gangplank? 2 reasons. 1, Sapphire Crystal allows you to spam Q in laning phase without needing to use barrels. That's a really big deal because a lot of top lane champions in this tier use D shield or have some other form of sustain such as a shield. Meaning that you land a barrel, they're either going to shield that barrel or they're going to heal from that barrel. So how do you get around that? You use your Q. And the point of Q is to stack your mana flow band and to farm the creeps. Now here's the second reason why you take Sapphire Crystal. To sell it and purchase a Sheen. Sapphire Crystal is 300 gold and it sells for 210. That means you lose 90 gold. People ask me, why don't you go tier start then? Because tier start is 400 gold, which sells for 280 gold. Meaning instead of losing 90 gold, you lose 120 gold. In laning phase, that makes a pretty big deal. That's the difference between you being allowed to miss 2 or 3 minions or having to farm perfectly. In addition to that, tier starts off with 240 mana, if I recall. And Sapphire Crystal's 300 mana. You also don't want to build Mana Mune on Gangplank. So tier is not a good mana item for GP. You don't need it. Now that we've gotten that out of the way of why you go Sapphire Crystal into these champions and the benefits of Sapphire Crystal and why First Strike sucks, let's go over why Grasp is bad. Grasp is bad because it just doesn't do damage. The sustain that you think you get from health in the healing and in the permanent health is fake. I want you guys, if you're a Grasp Gangplank user, take 5 games that you have played and go add up all those stats or just look at each game and tell me how much you have 15 minutes into a game. Because Grasp is a laning phase rune. It doesn't actually really scale. Besides Overgrowth and Demolish, it's not scaling. There's nothing about it that scales, right? For Gangplank, at least. It's bad. Grasp is bad. It'll give you like 200 damage or 300 damage at 15 minutes, which is awful. You have 0 form of scaling besides Overgrowth and Demolish, which allows... Demolish requires you to be ahead. So Grasp just does less damage. It has less damage, worse runes, and with the exception of Honest to God Second Wind. I think Second Wind is the strongest rune and everything that's here. But Grasp just does less damage and it has less healing than if you were to just go Comet. Because Comet gives you access to Mana Flow Ban, which allows you to spam Q, spam your oranges, and not have to worry about mana, period, at all. So, with that being said, let's finally explain the setup that I've been running every single game and why I'm currently Grandmaster EU West, almost Challenger. Let's go for it. Arcane Comet. Guaranteed to apply in your barrels. Very, very good on your Q, and on your ultimate, you can get 2 to 3 Comet procs every single Gangplank ult, because the cooldown on Arcane Comet goes down every single time you land an ability. And your ult counts as multiple abilities every single barrage that comes down. So if it hits 2 or 3 people, you're going to get 3 comets raining down, each doing about like 100 damage, which is very nice. There's an extra 300 damage on your ultimate just for existing. Next, we take Mana Flow Band into these matchups. Now you might be saying, why don't you go Axiom Arcanist? Because you have no sustain if you don't go Mana Flow Band. Mana Flow, like I said, spam Q, spam orange. That's a very big deal. That means that you're not as low health to get ganked. You're not as low health where you have to burn your TP quickly. It means that you can have more pressure in the lane, which allows you to rotate to a jungle objective like Grubs, Herald. It allows you to invade the enemy jungle. Pretty much, if you take Axiom Arcanist on top lane Gangplank, you're waiting to get shoved in and lose the game. That's the way that I view it. And Mana Flow Band allows you to be in control of your fate. And I think in solo queue, that's what matters the most. Next, against these champions, I think Transcendence is very strong, and I think Gathering Storm is very strong. So this is the scaling setup that you're going to go into these matchups. However, there is also a secondary matchup, a secondary rune page that you can also take. And that is the Fight Comet. So if you're going to fight with Comet, this is the setup that you go. Arcane Comet, Mana Flow Band, Absolute Focus, Scorch, Bone Plating, Demolish. And you run this setup into these champions. Remember, this correlates. If you see Crystal here and Comet, it correlates with the exact setup that I showed you here. I'm just telling you guys, you have two options. You can either play to scale or play to fight. If you're scaling, I recommend this setup. If you're fighting, I recommend you go this setup. Next, we have Doran's Blade and Comet. So Doran's Blade and Comet, right here, this is the best setup you should take against any of these matchups that are listed here. I think this is the best setup. You might be saying, but not having Bone Plating against Riven and Darius, isn't that kind of bad? No, because you replace your defense for more damage. I played against Riven the other day, and one barrel at level 1 does about 140 damage. Maybe even, no, it's more than that. It's more than that. Because you get Arcane Comet proc, you get Scorch, and then you have that extra AD early game. But it's mainly the Scorch and Arcane Comet here that's disgusting. So if you're taking Comet with D-Blade into these champions, right? I recommend you go this setup and you combine it with Ignite. All of these champions you can take Ignite into. Yasuo is the only one where you can go D-Shield setup into Yasuo with TP, or you can go Ignite. But into every single one of these champions, I'm actually going to write it down here as well. Plus Ignite. I'm going to write down plus Ignite because I think all these champions require you to go Ignite. Yeah, I would say all of these champions require you to go Ignite. All right. Next setup. D-Shield and Comet. So we've already established the Comet scales extremely well. And we've also established that it does more damage than Grasp, more than First Strike, and even has more sustain than Fleet Footwork does, right? And I say more sustain than Fleet Footwork because of how much power you have very early into the game, and having access to Mana Flow Band means that you're never on the back end of a fight. You're literally always above 60%, 70% health. And the opponent will never be the opponent will never be able to just kill you flat out because of the setup that you have. Obviously, if you miss every barrel, then that's another argument, right? If you miss every barrel, then I mean, you kind of just stink. But yeah. So this is the setup you're going to take into every single one of these matchups. Now, don't be fooled by how large this is. This is vastly for just mid laners. Like, there's a lot of top laners here, but it's mainly just mid laners I included here as well. So this is top lane matchups, and there's also mid lane matchups here, as you can see. So Doran Shield, Comet, Second Wind allows you to fight in every single one of these lanes. Into Gnar, Fiora, Renekton, all of these matchups allow you to do that. In fact, something I would even say is into Sion. I was thinking about putting him in Mana Crystal start, but then I realized Sion just has too much damage early on. So if you have any questions about why I put champions into a certain tier, just leave a comment down below and be like, yo, Solar, why'd you do this? I don't feel like you need to do this, and I feel like you're too scared, or maybe this is too much. Whatever it is, let me know in the comment section down below if you disagree with where champions put. And that brings us to the final tier now. So we're going to go Longsword and Comet. And one other thing I want to say before we get into Longsword and Comet. Resolve Secondary and having Second Wind and Demolish is so nice to have. It's very, very nice to have because let's say you out-sustain your opponent because you have D-Shield and Second Wind, right? Which is very real. Boom! One plate is gone. Next time they recall, 2 plates are gone. So it just feels so nice to be able to fight back, especially against some of these meta characters. Jace, there's a tank Jace build going around. Ambessa is picked every single game. There's a lot of people who pick Malphite just to be boring top lane, right? So you finally get to fight back against a lot of these matchups. Next, we're going to go over Longsword Start. So this is the only time I think First Strike actually makes sense. Is out of all these champions, just Dr. Mundo. Just Dr. Mundo and Singed. Because you don't interact in these lanes. And you might be saying, why not cashback? Because I think boots, not having to buy boots is really nice. And you get the additional 10 movement speed from having magical footwear. And finally, cashback isn't actually strong until you've already purchased 2 to 3 items. And I just don't think that is like something that you should ever be considering in your mind. Especially if you're playing a champion, which, as I'll show you, we're going to be building stuff like double crit cloaks. It just doesn't make sense. I think magical footwear is just very, very strong on Gangplank. Then Gathering Storm, Absolute Focus. You'll notice there's no haste in this rune page, and that is it. That is intentional. The reason why we don't have haste is because you should be very far accelerated against both of these champions. So if you're going to be super far ahead, then you might as well just go full 500 AD build and try to one-shot the opponent. That's what I believe. So now that we've gone over every single build setup, or every single rune setup, let's get into builds. This video is going longer than I anticipated. It's 21 minutes already. So I'll try to make this a little bit faster. So this is going to be your standard build. Whether you're against the melee character, and even against some tanks, I think for the most part, this is going to be your strongest build. Sheen, Collector, double crit cloak, Youmuu's Ghost Blade, and then you get your boots. If you're able to access these boots, great. If not, it's totally fine to just sit on dirt bags, which is tier 1 boots, or even just normal lucidity boots. Excuse me. After that, you're going to go LDR. Now, you'll notice there's no Trinity Force. And if you've been watching my stream or keeping up with my YouTube, Trinity Force is a terrible item. Stop going Trinity Force. It's a horrible item. It does less damage. You get no crit chance. I hate Trinity Force. I hate Trinity. Now, is it bad every single game? No. There are scenarios where it's good. Example of this. Let's imagine you're playing against Riven, right? Having that extra health against Riven and going Trinity, going Plated Steel Caps, that can help you out. It really can. I hate Trinity. I will not recommend that you guys build Trinity either. I would highly recommend that you guys follow or at least try some of these builds that I'm going, because I've been able to carry way more games. And for the first time ever, I felt like Gangplank can actually thrive ever since they removed Essence Reaver. Before, Gangplank was doing fine, even doing maybe good, I would say. But now he can actually thrive. Now he's back to being a carry powerhouse. So, Sheen, Collector, double crit cloak. Here's something I'm going to say. You're going to sell your Sheen once you get to 5 items. And the reason for that is because Sheen is not as strong the later on into the game that you go. And Trinity Force sucks, as we established. So going for a 100% crit build is very strong here. You might be saying, where do I get opportunity? You sell your boots to purchase opportunity. Because once you're full build, you just want more damage. So I would recommend you keep your Youmuu's, which will keep you at 380 movement speed, if I'm not mistaken, even without purchasing any boots. And you replace your Lucidity boots with opportunity, and you're going to be doing a lot more damage. And then finally, you're going to replace your Sheen for Shield Bow at 6 items for 100% crit. Now, some people say, well, why don't you go Essence Reaver? Essence Reaver gives you some haste, and if you sell your boots, you don't have haste. You're right, you can do that. However, for the same price, just about, 5 AD, this is what you're comparing. Would you rather have 5 AD and 15 haste, or would you rather have a 700 health shield? I would rather take the 700 health shield. So that's why I put Shield Bow here. Let me mention one other thing. Into Riven, specifically Riven, into some matchups that you feel very afraid. You're like, Solarbacca, your build is too much, bro. This is too much. I'm scared to play against shit like Riven and Aurelia. Instead of going Collector first item, you can actually go Shield Bow first item. And then after Shield Bow, that's when you can build your Yomus. So this build does have flexibility. If you need to go Shield Bow right away after Sheen, don't feel bad about it. That's what the build I've been going into Cassante. Because to kill Cassante is very difficult because he has a high amount of damage. So by buying Shield Bow, you're actually getting more health than you would from Trinity. When you purchase Shield Bow, you will at least have a 400 health shield. At least a 400, 500 health shield when you purchase Shield Bow. However, Trinity only gives you 333 health. Right? So you're getting more health from having Shield Bow, and you already get crit. So there's really no reason to be building Trinity Force. Next, we have our range top build. Anytime you're against a range top laner, like Akshan, right? Any of the champions on the D shield, in the D shield setup here, that are range, like even Jace, even Gnar. I'm looking at some other champions here. Kennen, Aurora. I already said Akshan, right? Quinn, Varus, Lucian. Yomu's first item is amazing. Dude, that movement speed allows you to run away any single time they try to catch you, but you can also catch up to them and kill them. Because let's be real here, range top players, for the most part, they stink. Some players are good. I'll give them that. Some players are good. But most of them are untalented. And they're bad at the game. So just build Yomus and run their ass down. I do love going Swifties whenever I go Yomu second because the movement speed is insane. And it allows you to get those Demolish procs because you have second win in Demolish if you pay attention to this tier here, right? And you're just so fast. Nobody can kill you. You have such high tempo. You're probably going to die only twice in the entire game as a result of having this setup. And then you go into the original build. So Collector, Double Cloak, build your boots. Then you buy LDR, then IE. Now, LDR next patch is being changed. I'm going to say this right now. This is good for next patch as well. It's okay paying the extra 100 or even 200 gold for the LDR that's going to give, I think, 40% armor pen and 40 AD. I think it's still fine to build LDR instead of Infinity Edge in that scenario. I really think Infinity Edge is a bait item unless you have like perfect gold for it. Unless you have perfect gold for it, just build your LDR. Same thing, sell boots for opportunity, and then sell your Sheen for Shield Bow. So with that being said, that is the two main builds. I want you guys to try these builds out and let me know how you feel about them, either on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Solarbacca, or in the comments. Let me know what you think about these builds and if they're helping you to carry the game. Next, AP Gangplank. If your team is full AD, and let's imagine that your team is full AD, or the enemy team has a lot of engaged champions like Nocturne, right? Nocturne, Wukong is very meta. Nautilus support, a Yasuo Yone mid lane, right? Let's imagine the enemy team has so much engage, and your team has some CC. Maybe you got a Leona, maybe you got a Rel, maybe you have a Jarvan the Fourth, you know? Maybe you have Rakan, Sejuani. In those scenarios, this build will feel strong. Don't do this every game because you will grief your teammates if you go this build every game. I recommend you only do this if one of those two scenarios that I just talked about is met. Either your team is full AD or the enemy team has a lot of engage and your team has a lot of peel. A lot of tanks as well. A lot of CC. Sheen, Shojin, because Trinity sucks, and Shojin gives you 25 haste on your barrels, on your W, on your Q, and it also makes your ult stronger. Now, Spear of Shojin also just got fixed, so it's very strong. Spear of Shojin just got fixed, so it feels really nice to build. Then Malignance for more ult CDR, then Sork Shoes, then Leandries, and then your options here are either Shadow Flame or Axiom Arc, depending on what your team needs. If your team needs more damage up front, you go Axiom Arc. If your team doesn't need as much damage, then you go Shadow Flame. Then we go Bloodletter's Curse because it applies on your ulti and it works as an AP Black Cleaver. That's on the entire Gangplank ult, which is so strong. And you also have the option of building Trinity Force as your Sheen item, but you know, screw that item. Let's just build our items. Let's just build our Bloodletter's Curse, our Shadow Flame, and be happy. Final build, Split Push Gangplank. For all of you who missed playing Split Push, This build is strong. This build is so good. I have been carrying so many games doing this build. Sheen, Shojin, as we established, Shojin gives more health than Trinity, more AD than Trinity. Now, the Sheen proc is weaker by about 20 damage. Actually, by about 20 to 30 damage. So instead of your barrels doing, I think it's 445 or 450 with Trinity, you're doing about 415 when your Shojin is stacked up, or 398 if it's not stacked up, right? So Shojin has a slightly weaker Sheen, but overall you're stronger because you get more HP, you have a lot of haste, and your ulti is going to do 12% more damage every single time you use it. Next, Swifties and Yomus. This is the bread and butter. Not being able to die as Gangplank is so valuable. I know that a lot of you watching this have played Gangplank, missed your barrel, and guess what? You just die. Well, I missed my barrel. I guess I was against Zeri. She used her Q. Or I'm against Akshan. He double hit it. Lucian double hit it. Darius auto W. Camille auto Q. And all of a sudden, you're dead. No more. No more. Buy Yomus. Live. Use that active. Get the hell out of there. Hullbreaker, more movement speed, more damage to towers. Finally, Liandry's, because you're a split pushing monster. Your Liandry will do so much damage if you ult on top of yourself, or if you ult for your teammates. And then Trinity. So with that being said, yeah, that is everything. That is everything you need to know about Gangplank in Season 15. Barrel combos, runes, items, and finally this tier list here. I'm going to put everything, the factor code, the tier list in the comment section down below in the description. So keep an eye out. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, it did take a lot of time to make. I would appreciate it if you left a comment, if you liked the video, subscribe, or if you come to my Twitch, throw a little Twitch prime, throw a little love. Let me know. Yo, Solar, thank you so much for your guide, man. Like, I would appreciate that, for real. Like, it really does make my day when I see that people appreciate, like, the effort that I put in as well. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. With that being said, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you all next time. Peace.